So I'm thrilled to be joined today by Lisa Spencer-Arnell, who's a leadership coach, an author, and an emotional intelligence expert. And I had the fortune to invite Lisa to speak at an event that I ran a little while back. She came and did a fantastic job. And people went away, I think, with a really new perspective as to what emotional intelligence is and how they can use it not only in their professional lives but their personal lives. So I was keen to get Lisa on the call today to share this information with all of you watching. And first question. Well, welcome first of all, Lisa. Welcome to
Thanks very much, Simon.
Today's call. First question I wanted to ask you is, what is emotional intelligence?
Oh, good question. I'm asked that very, very regular. So emotionally intelligent, the simplest, shortest answer that I could give you is it's being intelligent about managing your emotions. Obviously, that's a short and sweet version. There's different elements to emotional intelligence, and the cornerstone of it really is all about your self-regard. It's about your regard for others. It's about your self-awareness, how in tune you are with yourself, awareness of others. It's about then how you manage your own behavior and how you build relationships.
Fantastic. I mean, I think if we're honest with ourselves, and correct me if I'm wrong, we tend to make most of our decisions in an emotional way. We have an emotional response. We think we make them in logic, but we tend, it's that impulse buy or whatever else. Is that right? Is that how we operate?
It is absolutely spot on, Simon. We kind of wrap it up with logic, so we justify it to ourselves, but at the end of the day, the emotional brain, part of the brain, is so much more powerful than the logical, rational one. So yeah, we make all our decisions on emotion.
We're so good at kidding ourselves though, aren't we? I made a logical decision, but I didn't really. So why do you think, I've read Daniel Goleman's book on emotional intelligence. It seems to be cropping up all over the place. I see webinars talking about it, books cropping up. Why is it so popular these days?
I think because people are with all the research around the brain, first of all, I think in the last kind of 20 years, we're getting more and more information, and that's updating all the time. So people realize, we live in a world that we really value intellect for some reason. It's the way the education system works. It's the way, we're kind of taught to process things. But actually, if we're just using our logical, rational part of the brain, it's only a small fraction of who we actually are and our processing power, if you like.
Right.
And our emotional brain is so much more powerful. And I think people realize, if you want people to perform at their best, it's not just about giving them a list to follow or a system or a process to follow. There's more to them. They've got to feel valued. They've got to feel engaged. They've got to feel that commitment. So you've got to connect with people in a different way.
Okay. And the other thing I hear a lot is this term mindfulness, which I think is something to do with emotional intelligence. I believe it's kind of living in the moment. Is that what it is? Is it the same?
Yeah.
Is it different?
I would say that mindfulness could almost be an aspect of emotional intelligence. You can use mindfulness to grow your emotional intelligence. Yeah, being in the moment is so important. There's so many, as you rightly say, there's so many books, The Power of Now, all kinds of things out about this, about being mindful, being present, because we've got into this way of being, which is all do, and we've got to do more and do more. But people are there's only so much energy in the tank, as it were. And actually, when we're on that doing mode, that we end up being in fight or flight or freeze mode, and we can't access our real creative brains, which by being mindful, we can.
Right. I always think it amazes me. We have all this technology. I mean, look at us today. We're communicating through the internet, but we are busier than ever. These tools are supposed to make us more efficient and happier, but I think actually they make us more stressed. But there we go. There we go.
The amount of people, I've got to say on that one, it's one of my bugbearers, if you like. So I say, never have we been so connected, and yet never have been so disconnected. I've got a teenage daughter, and you see a lot of kids just walk down the street. They're with each other, but they're looking at phones. They're in another world. They're distracted. And executives who I coach are the same. First thing they do in the morning is pick up the phone. The last thing they do at night, and then they wonder why they're not sleeping, or their minds are just racing. They're overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, and Pokemon Go, of course. We see people all over the place.
Oh, crikey.
Okay, I wanted to talk specifically now about how people can use emotional intelligence for successful job search. This is navigating specifically the executive job market. Now, when people come to me as clients, one of the first things they often say to me is, can you look at my CV, my resume? in the belief that that's the most important thing about finding success in the job market. Now, for me, it isn't. It's about psychology, because psychology is what you believe, how you think, and the action you're prepared to take. And as we know, as part of an executive job search, it might take 3, 6, 9 months of consistent action to get to the ultimate destination. So turning up each and every day is very important. Now, one of the things, I'm going to cross-reference it here, one of the things that you said at the presentation that you gave was that the greatest opponent is between your ears. And this I guess is self-talk, and we tend to talk more negatively to ourselves than we do positively. So could you elaborate on this and how some of the skills from emotional intelligence may help people with some of the challenges of staying in the game for that length of time?
Yeah, definitely. It was actually, when we were talking there, it was a quote that I really love from a gentleman called Tim Galway, who wrote a book, The Inner Game of Tennis. And what he talked about is when you're playing a game of tennis, you know, the greatest opponent is not the one on the other side of the net. It's actually the one between your ears. So it's that inner dialogue. It's that conversation we have. And say if you go into an interview and you're asked a question and maybe you don't answer it as fully as you could, then afterwards, you know, how do you stay in the moment? You know, rather than beating yourself up, going, "Oh God, that was so ridiculous! I'm never going to get it now." That, you know, what they're going to ask me next, because then our listening goes, our self-awareness goes, and we end up going all over the place. So it is really, really crucial that we manage our inner dialogue. And one of the tricks is almost to become an observer of yourself.
Okay.
So you just, whatever you say, just be comfortable with that. Just trust that whatever comes out of your mouth will be, and you can expand on it, or you can hopefully come back to it at a later stage if you don't say as much as you wanted to.
That's good advice. I do a lot of public speaking now, and about 3 years ago when I started to get into this, I would be very nervous, and I would speak, and I'd have that inner voice that said, you know, nobody's listening to you, you're talking rubbish, and it would really distract me. And one of the techniques I learned was to access my peripheral vision, which took me into more of a subconscious state where I was less conscious of what I was doing, but more in control of what I was doing.
Yeah, great advice.
Yeah, it's worked ever since. So second question, and it links to the first question. The job market is fraught with rejection. Doesn't matter how good you are, because it's about two people. It's about person, an employer, and a candidate. And you know, on different days, we can be different things to different people. So you are going to get rejected in the job market. It's going to happen more than once.
Yeah.
How do you cope with rejection from an emotional intelligence point of view? How do you cope with rejection and continue to turn up the next day to take possibly more rejection?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is crucial in all of this is having good self-regard, self-worth, to know that whatever you do, you know, it doesn't make you a bad person. We've got, if you consider splitting yourself in two, so you've got who I am in one box, and that's your self-worth, your self-regard, and in the next box you've got what I do, and that's about your self-confidence. So you may come across really confident, but let's say you at the end of it you definitely don't get it, you get rejected. Then it's up to you what you make that mean. You can either say to yourself, okay, wasn't the job for me, let's keep on going with the perfect ones around the corner. And again, it's managing that self-dialogue. What I see happen sometimes, and probably you do as well, Simon, is people then make it mean, oh, I'm not good enough, I must be stupid, they didn't like me, and they personalize it. So what's really important is that you can actually be constantly growing your self-esteem, your self-worth, so that no matter what happens, you can take whatever's said to you, and you don't take that rejection personally, because we get rejections all the time, whether it's making a phone call sometimes or asking a favor, or for a job, or whatever, pay rise, whatever it might be. So we have to get used to that. Somebody said to me, if you think of rejection a bit like, when somebody gives you a gift, if you don't want that gift, you can give it back. Rejection, it's up to you whether you take it personally, or whether you allow it in, or whether you just kind of, you become your own gatekeeper of that rejection, if you like.
Yeah, that's good advice. I think we do attach meaning, don't we, to stuff?
We do.
Why?
Yeah, and that's what the brain does.
What?
That's what our brains do.
Yeah, so it's another human trait, isn't it? The self-talk and this is another human trait that we've got to be very much in control of when it comes to a lot of things, not just successful job search. Okay, great stuff.
Definitely.
Balance is very important, and this came out of your talk. So what I find sometimes with my clients when I first start working with them, they're 24/7 thinking about the job market, in the job market, surfing job boards, whatever they might be doing, and it's a very unhealthy existence.
Absolutely.
I advocate you have a start and a finish time, you devise a plan, you stick to the plan, the job is to stick to the plan, and that's it. You know when the job is done for that day. How important is balance in life for not just physical well-being but mental well-being? What would you say?
Oh, mental, emotional, if you could even say spiritual well-being as well if you wanted to. But for your own well-being, balance is crucial. If you are, we've got the Olympics coming up around the corner, and when you are an athlete and you are going for gold, you in your training program there is rest and recuperation
Yeah.
time as much as there is that training time, and we could learn a lot in corporate world and corporate life and business life from those athletes, because we do have to discipline ourselves to switch off. And I see a lot of people, I'm sure you do, Simon, as well, that just almost can't turn
Yeah.
off. I've seen somebody this morning, and I'm working 17, 18-hour days sometimes. Like, you can't take that. Your body physically cannot take that. And I said, and when do you create the space so that you have your creative ideas, what you could do differently? And it's the same if you're looking for a job, you've got to have that switch off time.
Yeah.
You've got to come across as that balanced, whole rounded person. If you are frenetic and constantly on the go, we've got something in our brain called mirror neurons, and we can pick up how people are, if they're being genuine, if they're being real, and if they are fraught, then we'll feel that from them.
So
we'll pick up on that energy.
So we'll start to get that negative energy ourselves. That will start to.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that will filter through. Even if you try and control it, it just will come out of your being. So to take care of yourself, your mental, emotional, your physical well-being is really important.
And I think it's back to what we talked about at the start. We've got our devices, haven't we, all around our mobiles. We're in constant touch. To have the discipline to switch, which is another important trait when it comes to job search, discipline. To have the discipline to switch on or switch off and know which game we're in at that time, I think is very, very important. Let's talk a little bit about the interview environment, and you mentioned it a moment ago. I advise my clients that there are two principal things when it comes to interview. You've got to prepare properly, and that doesn't mean learning a set of standard answers to anticipated questions. It's completely different. It's about researching properly and knowing what you're going in there to communicate. It's also about taking control of the interview process, because you can't rely on the interviewer being an experienced interviewer. And to actually succeed at interview, it's my belief that you have to do more than just communicate your story. You have to influence the person's gut feel of you, and also give them a fantastic experience. So when they have an emotional response at the end of the interview which says, did I like that person? Did I trust that person? The emotional response, which they may later judge with justify with logic, is that's the person I need to hire. Are there lessons from mindfulness, emotional intelligence that people can apply in an interview environment?
I think that being fully present and mindful and get yourself in that relaxed place before you're going in for the interview is really crucial. And whether that's through breathing, balance, breathing is something that I advocate, where you're breathing in for 6 and breathing out for 6. So your autonomic nervous system is in balance, and then your energy is at its optimum. And then you're in a place that you can easily influence somebody else and their energy. It's about being real as well for me, I would say. So just having that full self-awareness and the awareness of other, you will know what impact you're having if you are tuned into both yourself and somebody else. So really practicing your self-awareness in, how am I feeling in myself right now? And what am I putting across here? Smile is a really simple thing, but the facial muscles can get really tense in an interview or a meeting kind of situation for people. So just have that self-awareness and be able to relax in the moment is crucial.
Yeah, that's great advice. I advise that you would have authenticity. So what's in here has got to match with what comes out of your mouth. And the other thing that that I advise as well is something called the attractive character. So you turn up with the best version of yourself. So whatever, I'm a martial arts guy. There's stories about how boxers prepare for a fight, and they have a routine. So you know what that routine is. So you turn up with the best game face on that links with your authenticity here to present that to an employer.
Definitely.
That's extremely important.
I think that authenticity is crucial, for me, because if you're not being yourself, I see too many people in organisations who put on a bit of a mask or a suit of armour, and people see right through it.
Yeah.
People can get that. Say with these mirror neurons in the brain, they'll pick up whether you're being real and genuine or not.
You've got to be yourself.
So coming from the heart is really important. Yeah.
Got to be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've established that's fantastic advice. Thank you so much. We've established that emotional intelligence is important. So is it like a muscle? Is it something you need to build, work at each and every day to grow and develop? How do you do it?
I think it's something to be mindful of all the time, and particularly the cornerstone of it for me, which is around self-regard. And we all need that self-esteem, and life can throw us curveballs sometimes, and it's not a kind of something on your tick list. Life can be a bit like this, can't it, sometimes? So it's important that we do manage and maintain our self-regard. One of the big things, I say one wrong that I would love to right in the world, is that people get that they're enough. So whether it's just a little affirmation for yourself, I am enough, I can do this, that kind of mental preparation. Really important. So I think ongoing, there are little things that you can do. Little things that you can do.
A little bit each and every
I've
day.
got a tip sheet, by the way, so I'll be really happy to send that across to you,
so
or to any of your listeners.
If anyone wants the tip sheet, give me an email, and I'll get that out to you. So on that note, how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about this stuff, about the work that you do? Do you have a website? Where can people go?
So people can connect with me on LinkedIn, and it's simply Lisa Spencer-Arnell, or you can go to the website, which is www.ccs-coaching.co.uk, or email me, lisa@ccs-coaching.co.uk. I'd be really happy to answer any questions you've got. And my book as well, Emotional Intelligence Coaching, that's on Amazon and anywhere else you look around.
Fantastic. And if there was one overriding piece of advice, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, one overriding piece of advice that you would leave, I like to ad lib, that you would leave somebody with today, what would it be? What's the thing that people should take away?
I think the biggest thing is about being you. And tied in with that is having that good self-regard, valuing yourself, accepting, liking yourself, develop that relationship with yourself as much as you would want to with anybody else that you work with or you live with. That's who you spend most of your life talking to, yourself. That's who you have more conversations with. So just having those positive conversations. If somebody could tape those inner dialogues that you have, wouldn't that be interesting?
It would be very interesting. Maybe I'll try that. Thanks ever so much. That was fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Very welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Lovely to be with you, Simon. Thanks. Bye.